Thank you for tuning in to Uncommon Women, a podcast that provides a platform for women of all walks of life to share their upbringings, life lessons learned, experiences, and journeys to come. Uncommon Women speaks on topics that can relate to all women. We share, we listen, we laugh, we cry, and we empower each other to be the best uncommon woman that they can be. Ultimately, we are cultivating a global movement of women supporting women. Women supporting entrepreneurship, relationships, self-love, and so much more. We inspire each other to make an impact on this world for the better. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to Uncommon Women. Now, finally, grab a seat, get comfortable, and hear from your wonderful hosts, Shanira and Jenny Lee. Hello, kings and queens. Thank you so much for tuning in to Uncommon Women. I'm Shanira.
And I'm Jenny Lee.
And today we have an amazing guest speaker by the name of Denise. She's going to come on and share her experience in regards to having Bell palsy, as well as educating us in regards to healthy habits, with ourselves and what we're consuming and things like that. Before we actually get into today's topic, Jenny Lee is going to give her bio in regards to Denise. And if you have any questions or concerns, you're more than welcome to leave your questions and concerns in the comments, and we'll be sure to answer them at the end of our segment.
Mm-hmm. Denise Shamlian is a solution-focused entrepreneur and holistic health coach advocate for more than 30 years of success across the health and wellness, cosmetics, skincare, fashion, and retail business. Denise is the owner of a health and wellness coach for Get Up, Get Out, Get Well, health systems, where she creates customized health and wellness aesthetic programs to help clients achieve success, health, and happiness. Currently, she is focusing to serve communities and local businesses that support holistic health and wellness throughout the U.S., adopting more traditional back-to-basics well-care practices in her education programs. She continues to assist people in their health and wellness journeys, encouraging initiative means of choosing robust and healthy lifestyles. Her broad areas of expertise also includes business management, marketing, sales, and global strategy.
Thank you so much. That was great. And thank you so much for having me on. I have to say that you ladies are really helping women find their voice, and that's very powerful today. Thank you again.
Thank you. We definitely appreciate it. We appreciate it. So before we get into the good stuff today, can you tell us, sorry, that popped out. Before we get into the good stuff today, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? How was your life growing up?
Sure. I have been blessed with growing up in a multicultural community in Queens, and I always say Queen from Queens, as we say, in New York City. And so it enabled us to have so many different cultures in our school and our friends. And so I was really given an opportunity to see all types of cultures. And subsequently, when I went on into the corporate and business world, I traveled around the world and got a window in, not like a tourist, into working in as many as 30 countries. And so when you start to go around the world and you realize that women have the same concerns, no matter where it is in the country, we as humans have to come together and sort of take a look at what can we do to help people achieve their health and happiness goals. And that's what I do now.
Yes.
Full time. Serving, again, in underprivileged communities is very important, and where there's funding that needs to be sent by the government, those places, need focus. So that's a lot of what I do.
That's amazing. And where do you get your inspiration from?
Well, I have to say that, growing up, being able to have all of those things afforded to me, I was very privileged in what I would call it. I didn't have a lot of money per se. We had an extended family that all pitched in. And what drove me was actually the traditions of our family, where our medium and our mediums are meant to survive, as you know the stories. So there's a powerful community, and it's a community of love. We're also known as the first Christians in the world. So we are people that are loving and driven, and you just survive. It's a survival. And then, of course, being from New York, where you have to basically now it's something that you have to really look at. It's where you were brought up, in what part of the country, who your generation was prior to you, what their programming was. We're the scrappers in the Northeast. You're in PA, first places. So scrappers.
Yep.
We just survive. We just make it happen. We make it work.
That's true. That's true. I agree.
Yeah, so do I.
So let's go into your story. How did you get diagnosed with Bell palsy and things like that?
So the reason I had this health challenge called Bell's palsy was that my body was in a weakened state from a lot of stress, and I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't eating right. And that moment was, you're sick. You have a facial nerve injury. You cannot move your face. I am in a business where my face is my whole world. And so it really was that place where I said, I have to really start taking care. And I was doing all the things that people do, drink, smoke, eat pizza, too many times a day, and things that people do normally when they're under stress and they feel they don't have the time to take care of themselves. And that's a lot of what happens in New York. Yeah. So, and other urban cities, right? When I was forced to make that choice to take care, basically what happened, the community found me. And I found the community. So I became a holistic health coach at Integrative Nutrition. And basically what that means is that we look at the whole person and coach them to achieve what it is they want to focus on. Some people want to lose weight. Some people want to, quit smoking. It all depends on the person. And as I always say, what we put in our mouth and what we consume into our eyes and our ears is affecting our body.
Yes.
So everything you choose to put in is going to do something to the human suit, as I call it. So to think that to continue to not care for oneself in that way, in this nutrition is the fuel of the body, the body is going to give out. Now, it is an amazing machine, right? And it can metabolize and really work well for years. But then all of a sudden, you see late end stage disease that could have been prevented if they had done different choices for years prior. So that's why I didn't become a nurse, because I saw a lot of patch and pill when a holistic health coach and functional medicine doctors lead you to make those choices so that you can have long longevity and life. And you don't have to be on medications. I mean, I did a survey to get ready for this the other day, and I was watching a national TV show. And I looked at the commercials that were coming on, and I was actually playing, that tic-tac game of how many times you see the car, if you're.
Oh, yes.
So every time the commercial came up, I did a little tap. And you'd be surprised as to how many pharmaceutical commercials there are, how many fast food commercials there are.
Yes.
And very few that are looking towards holistic and looking towards back to basics, because there isn't any money in that. To grow your own food, it takes a lot of work. And you want to be able to know that what you're buying in your local supermarket is safe for you to eat. So you have to read every label. That's what we recommend as health coaches. Shop for organic food so that you can put less toxic pesticides in your body. I mean, I just shared to my page banning a very toxic chemical. You have to get involved with your local communities and write your congressman to say, ban this particular chemical from my food, because we need to be involved. So years ago, we weren't eating the same things that is happening now. There weren't GMOs. There weren't things that were so toxically laden with pesticides. It was back to basics, like it was what your grandparents did. So when you talk about how you can curb disease, it's not about a pill that allows you to keep going with what you were doing, because the pill causes side effects.
It starts before that, right?
Yeah, and you're going to treat one thing, and then it says 8 other things that are
symptoms.
Like, right. So it's such a simple idea, but because there isn't money in it, it's not well received. Like, what do you mean? I just have to eat vegetables and eat, a balanced portions of meals of different things. Yeah. I mean, to talk about calories, people always ask that question. I mean, typically it's between 1,200 and 1,800 calories for a person, but each person works differently. Some people might require 2,500 and some people may do better with 1,000.
Right.
So when you start to know what turns on your fire, as I like to call it, you can eat everything. Okay. But the highest quality possible. And what that means is this.
Money.
Exactly.
It's going to cost more. Yeah.
Exactly. Because why? Because those things that are being grown organically cost more money to grow. They grow them in smaller batches. There's family farms. You know, there's so many things that we need to support in our local communities to be able to get back to not buying anything in the middle aisle of the supermarket. Because inside that area is all the packaged processed foods. And the thing about that is the body doesn't really know what to do with it. People call it frankenfood. You know, there's things that are going on in your body that you can't even know. And the fact that we want to play around with it like human gods or people that are trying to manipulate our immune system, for instance, you need to take control of that for yourself and intuitively know that I don't eat this much or I don't eat that much. And if you need help, that's where you call the health coach. Right. And the health coach comes on and says, okay, let's look at your whole life. What do you do every single day? What exactly are you putting in your mouth every single day, every minute? And when people start to write it out, it becomes like the Marie Kondo where you have to dump all the clothes in the middle of the
junk.
Just bring you joy.
Right.
Well, this food diary does not bring some people joy when they realize that they're drinking liters of Coke a day and I drink Diet Coke. Well,
It's
no, that's even worse.
Coke.
I don't even know what's worse some days. So, and I'm not here to crap on anybody because people are on their own journey. So only people who have a vested interest in wanting to preserve their health and well-being and longevity. I mean, this human suit could live easily probably into the 200s if we give it the right fuel. Because we have a lot of centenarians walking around out there, and there's lots of footage of where they are, like in Japan or in Sardinia. It's because they're places that embrace the local and the old school and do the things that their grandparents were doing and their grandparents were doing.
Right.
And that has created a healthy human. And so health here, okay, right. There's things you can do to preserve your skin and to preserve your body, because what you put in exactly is what it needs to put out, basically. Collagen is excellent for skin. Bone broth tonics in the morning. There's recipes I can supply to you guys at a point. So when you're putting things in that are designed for your body specifically, that's when you're going to thrive. Because we don't just want to exist in this life.
Right.
We want to thrive. We want to make sure that we're keeping our immune system healthy. We don't want pharmaceutical drugs. At least the people that I hang out with don't. And so the problem with trying to find that tribe is that we're banned and censored from Facebook and other platforms because we really talk about something so radical as don't eat too much sugar, or you have to know what's in your body. And so working with a health coach or working with a functional medicine doctor, there's so many people out there. As a health coach, I curate all of that information based upon what I think people need. So, you might love to meditate, Jenny Lee, and you, Shanara, don't want to meditate. You want to dance. I mean, I want to roller skate. I skate all over the world, and it's hugely cathartic, and it's so much exercise. You can burn like 800 to 1,200 calories in one skate session. Oh, take the whole family. It's a community. You build a local community. So there's so many things we can be doing right here at home, taking that back to basics approach about what you are consuming. Limit your social media. I hate to say it because this is what we're doing, but
right. Mentally too. She's talking about mentally.
And understanding how to do that. And it's women who can find their voice and understand that we are very powerful. And I think in many ways, like every woman says to their man that they adore and who loves them, There's only one of me.
That's right.
That's right.
And they'll say, "Oh, I hear that from all of you ladies," but that is the truth. And so each person needs to find their own journey, and you can take your information from so many places, but it's overwhelming. So we know that we're trying to, make that day, get the day and have it happen. But in the same breath, there's time. There's time and there's abundance. And when you focus the right energies, if you want the right things to come to your supermarket, like less pesticides and such, you have to speak up. And you have to bring your voice to your community. And I think, it's like, so I go around the world and I just say the same message, which is get involved in your local community. And you can still be global with social media, but where you're making an impact in this world is how you're bettering and treating people every single day, and creating that safe space so that nobody feels controlled about what they need to do. They know intuitively, mothers know about whether they should give certain things to their children or not. And they should have the right to do that. So there's so many things to talk about, as in this, what are we consuming? Because consumption of even consumer goods. Look at what we're doing with our planet. We've become excessive. I need no more shoes and bags and clothes, and we were in that gut of
the routine.
This is what we're doing, and we're going shopping, and when they closed the stores 10 to 6, during last year, that to me made sense, because people could go home to their family and have a family dinner,
build a relationship,
talk to your, look what we used to do at night: puzzles, game boards, cards around the table. Now everybody's in the device.
That's so true.
So not to kill the device, because it's given us so many great things in our life. It's this knowledge that we take every single day, and how we raise our awareness of bringing our intellectual abilities up. So we want to make sure that we are focusing on stuff that is productive, that is solutions-based. We can talk about the bad stuff all day long. We can complain all day long. Over the years, what I've realized is we're focused on some things that, like, everybody has the problem. So, like, no more shame. It's part of the human suit. Let's move forward and figure out how to make it better.
Right.
How to figure out, like, if every one of the humans has this particular problem, because if you look at it, we're like all doing the same thing, but yet we have unique individual approaches to how we're doing it, right? But in the end of the day, it's about how do we perfect our loving? How do we become a kinder and more just society, so that we don't criticize, we don't body shame.
Right.
We're not trying to, women need to embrace and pull each other up, not drag each other down.
That's right.
Supporting. Okay, we don't want no crap. Okay, we want people that are pulling people up. And then the idea is that when one person wins, we all win.
Right.
So winning, we're all winning. And that's what we need to get away from, that sort of competition-based mindset when it comes to human and social issues. We need to look at things and figure out how to fix it, not shame the person because that's their need. Evaluate how many people are needing the funding. Okay, like, where are they? There's so much to go into it. And that's why, being a health coach, we look at everything, literally everything, and figure out how to make sense of this human existence, basically.
That's so dope. I definitely agree with everything that you're saying, because it's like we do focus on so much of the atmosphere of what's going on instead of just focusing on the good things that come out of everything, building the relationships with your family, or just taking the time to look at everything in your house, like, oh, maybe I can paint, or maybe I can do this, or just look at the positive aspect of being inside and not so much on the negativity of what's causing us to be doing something differently in life. So I agree with that.
I've had the greatest opportunities through that with people that have gone on virtual, getting some amazing things happening. So it's like there are positives and negatives to everything. And you know, you just have to, when you're in the positive mode, positive comes to you.
Yep.
Yes.
I agree.
Of The Secret for years and years.
Same.
Agape,
Yep.
and Reverend Michael Beckwith, and Joe Dispenza, and Bruce Lipton, and all of these people that are just about, like, that's why I'm saying there's so many people out there. Like, you could find anybody that resonates with you. You don't even necessarily need me to say. So, you know, it's about curation. It's about finding the information we need and how to make it useful for this human journey.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. And I wanted to go back on what you were talking about what Shanera was saying. I also think it is that people get stuck. People get stagnant and stuck, and then it just becomes a repeating cycle. So they stay in that negative area. So they need people, like you said, they need people to inspire them, to get them out of that.
Why do you think, Jenny Lee, people get stuck? I have a few thoughts, but I want to hear you ladies. Why do you think people get stuck?
I think people get stuck because of it's either their surroundings, like Shanera said, and the people that they're around. Is the people who are in your circle, what they talk, you know, what they talk about, what they're looking at. You know, it's like you said, it's also a mental thing, and what you see is what you're taking in. So it could be anything toxic or anything traumatic or anything that just gets into your mind and just makes you feel stuck or even scared to even get to.
There you go.
That's probably number one reason why people don't do anything.
They're comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
The comfort in the uncomfortable is what really is what it is, because it's uncomfortable, and what you have to wait on is when it gets to the point where it's so uncomfortable that you make a change. And what happened this past year, to me, I felt like there was more than ever a reason to get up and get out and get well, because we have to get up with our voices, and we have to get out as far as supporting our local community. And getting well really entails what it is you personally feel like will get you well. And it's your journey. And no one should really tell anyone what to do. If you ask me, I will absolutely tell you. But it's your journey, and it's what works and what doesn't work. And what works for you versus what works for me. And your standards in this life and what you want to be. So getting stuck is our way of kind of, you know, being in the victim stage and thinking that nothing will get better, and this happened to me. And there's several books on knowing how to leave those particular stages in life. And one other thing, when you wake up, that's the thing that you have to realize. Whenever that wake up is, there isn't a way to go back.
Right.
So when you start getting all this knowledge, and you know, Lucy, you know the movie Lucy, as more knowledge you get, exponentially that your brain is expanding and being used. You know, those movies and things that are being written are ideas of the human. And who's to say that that's not really going to happen? Who's to say that's not going to manifest? So it's the idea is when you wake up, and you can wake up spiritually, you can wake up mentally, you can wake up physically. Once you figure out how to turn yourself on, you can't turn yourself off. It's like very amazing. It really is.
Awesome.
Yeah,
you find the positive and the good in everything. And you stop. If you don't like how it is, you have to be the change. And you have to be the person who exhibits the behaviors that you want to see. And that's what we do.
That's so good. And I think a lot of people don't like change. You know, it's not something that they're used to. It's not something that they're comfortable with. So it's easier for them to go back to how it used to be versus in trying to stick it out and for the better, for the change. I like that one. That was a really good
the fast speeds of change. To me, everything after the pandemic now is like yesterday is so old news.
That's true. But she's telling the truth.
Yeah, she is.
Second, minute to minute. And that's why you have to be living in the now. Okay, that's Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now. So basically, you are focused on your best self and how to navigate. And a lot of what the consumption of the, consumer media is it's meant to drive fear and it's meant to, you know, place that little itty bitty doubt, like when you need to go to your gut. Vagus nerve from here to here. When something doesn't feel right, where do you feel it? In your gut. So when you feel a feeling in your gut that isn't right, I trust that feeling. And that is your intuitive
intuition, right?
All down. And women's intuition, I mean, that's the thing that men, you know, they talk about that. That's like magic.
Right. Superpower.
You know, like that woman's intuition.
Right.
Well,
that's so true.
We are second gen. I tell them all the time, we're second gen. Okay. Second generation has upgrades. So we feel things and we know things that maybe they don't. And so that's okay. That's why we're paired or whatever. That's why we interact with one another. If you're male, female, right? Or whatever. You know, I support all. And so the idea is listen, meditate, slow it down, take time for self-care. Facial, that's part of what we do in my program. Have you had facials, ladies?
I have.
I haven't.
Oh, it feels so good. You're missing out.
It's the time you take when I give them and when the person receives them. It's very special because the healing power of touch comes through the hands. And there's Reiki practitioners that you ever see them. They do this with the bodies and people's bodies are going up and down. There's energy in the fingers and the body, right? People go like this and they like feel the energy, right? So when I'm giving the facial and the person is receiving, there is energy that's interacting and it's meant for them to relax, completely relax. And that's sometimes very hard for people to do. They can't let their guard down for whatever reasons. So the facials are not only about the topical part of the face, but also the internal spiritual well-being. And the touch.
I like that.
Think about it. People now are afraid to touch one another. And the idea that we're, you know, bringing disease is a little bit much for me. I mean, you have to have T cells. You raise your immune. You're meant to have viruses, okay? You're going to get them and things are going to happen to your body. But touching a person, this kind of touch releases oxytocin. These are the things that we need in our brain to feel feminine and produce our estrogen and care. So if people aren't even being touched, you're talking about a facial goes from here to here. You're doing all decolleté massage, shoulder massage, back massage. We're able to massage from here all the way up. And I do one for Bell's palsy because I'm familiar with it. And it basically is something that people go home and do on themselves. And so, you know, there's a lot of healing practice in being touched. And it's super important for self-care that you take time. And no one should say to you now, especially, if you want to take 15 minutes and close the door and meditate, you take 15 minutes. You know, you find your 15 minutes and you take it. And that's when you quiet and you realize what your meaning and your purpose is. And when you find out what that is, that's your wake up and you can't shut it off. And everything right opens up to you. And right action brings right result. So whatever right is for you. You know, we need to love one another. And if we truly did love ourselves, we wouldn't harm one hair on anyone else's head, no matter what we did. So it's about self-love. And I think we are, as a people, we're into things that aren't actually so loving sometimes.
Right. I agree.
Yes,
we need to learn to love others. That's true.
You love everyone, like when you see everyone and you know that, and then you meet and you want to hug and you want to, you know, share that energy. And now it's like, you know, don't touch
6 feet. Right.
6 feet. So for people, you know, that are very
hugging people.
People that are hugging, you know, it's harder for them, but you know, we're learning ways to, you know, we're fist bumping or all that. But the idea is to get back out again. And certain states are lifting mask mandates, and that's creating, you know, some more interesting conversation for everybody. And that's what our life is all about. Good quality debate without defaming, like without criticizing, with, you know, people should be able to speak their mind without for fear of being shamed or being
judged,
right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I really am. It really hurts my heart these days. Like, we can't even have a debate between our political leaders without it turning into some sort of political theater, and you just don't want to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, when we respect one another, we respect ourselves first. That's where the change is going to be.
Right.
Yep.
And I know there's a lot of people that think like us and y'all, like, we just need to find those tribes of people who can start writing the congressman. Look at all the things that happened with the voting. So many more people came out than ever before, let's say this year. So getting involved and starting grassroots movements are what your grandparents used to do. And how you do that, sometimes your reach in a global community of Facebook or Instagram, it's amazing. I reach everybody, but it's like, how do I keep up? I get solicited from everywhere, like all over the world. And so, you sort of have to create boundaries of what you can do,
right,
and where you need to focus. And local community is suffering terribly right now with the shutdowns of the small businesses, restaurants, etc. So we need to get back and get out there, like the Cheers bar, hey Norm, everybody knows each other. Let's get back to that. Woo.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I also have a question for you. So, with everything that we consume in our bodies, what are the cause and effect? Like, when it comes to diseases, like, what can they actually do to our bodies?
So some of the things that we're seeing based on diseases of the, I want to say the social population now, right? The current population, type 2 diabetes, cancers, things of those nature that are related around obesity. I consider obesity to be one of the largest health conditions that needs immediate action, because it can lead to those further end stage diseases like type 2 diabetes, like cancers, heart disease, things that don't allow the body to function in its highest quality. So if you are constantly having a negative mindset and you're eating toxic laden food, and there is a mindset where you are just not well, your body will answer you. So what you want to do is have the mindset, even if you're going to eat those things, because it's an 80-20 rule, right? We love our stuff. Like, we want to eat a donut once in a while. We need to have pie. I love pie, right? So you do 80-20. Like, you can't eat pie 3 meals a day for 8 days straight. It's like you don't want to.
Right.
And that's another thing. You listen to the body. When you start incorporating all these things like yams and rutabagas and all kinds of things that are like sweet, baby, it quells other things. So the end stages of disease are really coming from very controllable things like weight and how you manage your physical activity, your mindset. That's all connected. So there's many diseases out there that not a lot of people like to put the numbers back to it to say, like, oh, if you eat this, it's absolutely going to cause this, because really, they really can't prove it like that. But will you get a recommendation into what not to eat and what to eat from a doctor? Yes. Functional medicine doctors, more. Health coaches, more. So the idea is being your best self, and however that is, with your levels. And how do you find out your levels? You go and you have a blood test. You go to the doctor, or you go to your functional medicine doctor, and you measure your minerals, your vitamins. You can even do it online with a kit with some saliva sometimes. So, I always recommend that people seek out, if you're having some type of medical conditions, of course, and coming to a health coach. Basically what you're doing is I'm evaluating whether that should be referred to someone. Same thing with skin. If I see something here, I go, I can't work on you, and you really should go get that evaluated. So I'm trained to look at certain things on skin and see, like, skin cancers and lesions and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that can do, but the persons who say it exactly is this or this, it's hard. It's hard for people to say that. It's hard for people to realize that frankenfood, the body doesn't know what to do with. So what does the body do? How do you eliminate it? And what kind of nutritional value are you getting from it?
Right.
So if we're devoid of our vitamins and minerals, of course we're going to fall prey to things that could make us weaker in the human suit.
Okay.
And we all know what they are. I mean, it's very simple. It's a balanced portion of meals, and it's mostly plant-based. And if you're going to do meats and dairy of any kind, you just do it the highest quality organic. And I hate to say it, there's going to be a cost there. But so other cultures, meat is a complement. Here in the US, meat is our focal point.
That's a good one.
So it's like you have to look at the different cultures and look at things, Ayurvedic practices or traditional Chinese medicine for thousands of years that are being done, which we don't really, the average doctor isn't necessarily going to be knowledgeable in those things. That's why a holistic doctor or a health coach or a functional medicine doctor will have that kind of training if you want to take control of it. Now, how do you pay for it, right? Does your medical system cover it? Does your insurance cover it? That's a big concern for a lot of people. So you have to look, and that's again a place where you have to speak to your company and say, I want to go see this particular practitioner. What are my deductibles? What am I, or whatever? Check and see, because a lot of times they are covered now. So those things are important for people who want to, take advantage of their benefits. Should be able to have both things looked at, so you can make the choice of what you want to do.
Okay.
That's
a good point. What are some foods that you recommend that are a great way to keep our immune system strong, especially, with COVID and things going on like that now?
So the things that you would want to ingest more of are organic fruits, vegetables, lean meats, proteins, things that are from whole food based places that you can understand the ingredients on the label. You do more home cooking now that we've all gotten our way, at home. We've eaten out less. Vegetables, meals that you would make, because we've kind of, the eating out every day to grab the fast food, that's not necessarily the healthiest option. Sometimes it's a cheaper option, but to go to your produce aisle and see what's there. You eat seasonally, because that's usually the prices are going to be the best for that. And that is also good for you, rotating all the vitamins and minerals. You're not only eating the same things, you're putting more variety into your diet. So any kind of vegetable that you like, eat. Asparagus, broccoli, cauliflower, you name it. Cruciferous vegetables are very good for women of all ages, but particularly in menopausal time frame, later time frame.
Okay.
So there's so many things, like that's what women want to know for them. So I recommend that everybody start a food diary. And for 2 weeks, track everything that you eat. If you see huge gaps in missing vegetables, or you see the same, I eat an apple, okay, great. Every day you eat an apple, but you are not adding variety. So maybe have your apple and eat some strawberries, So it's about menu planning, which some people don't take joy in. I love menu planning. I love to plan menus for people. And, we do cooking classes and we do events out. So, and you do Zoom, right? So you can talk to people. You send them the grocery list. These are the things we do. They're the activities of the program. And it teaches people what to add in. Now, some people just won't eat broccoli. Okay, I don't say anybody should eat anything. Like, literally, I don't want to control your journey. Okay, broccoli in your previous life has gotten you freaked out, whatever. But, get something cruciferous at least. Try to go from the groups, legumes. There's the body is meant to eat these things. I wonder why they're here if we weren't meant to eat them. So, let's talk about what's the best for us and what were our grandparents eating. And if you go back to doing that, you basically can control weight, control end-stage disease. You have to look at the portions, though, of course, because I think in the US, everything is bigger, like they say. And when you go around the world and you see different areas of the world, how much food people
Small
are
portion.
United States is, you're like, I could eat, that's like 3 meals for me.
Right.
If I go out and get a restaurant sized portion. So, you know, when you start to look at that and you're much more self-aware, and I think that's a huge thing that should happen now, is that we need to be aware of who we are and what we're doing and what our impact is and why we're here. To make sure that we're living our best life, thriving. And, you know, for people who have children, they've created new humans. I mean, that's a huge responsibility for people out there.
Yes.
It consumes everybody and it takes up our time. So there's a lot of support out there. You can find support. And if you have right mind and right action, the right opportunities will come to you.
Yes.
And that's a secret thought. Like if you know the secret and you know about abundance, and these are the mindsets that people have to get in now. And you know what? You may not have talked like that before. We just had a pandemic. Nothing is the same. Everything should be questioned, challenged, ask questions that you never asked before, do things that you have never done before, and step and find into your voice, into your womanhood. And that's what we're here to do. Empower one another to stand up, because eventually the little bit, it grows. It grows.
Yep.
The little seed,
flourished.
right? Mustard seed, right? The might of the mustard seed. It's going to live. Life wins all the time. So what are we doing with our lives? That's the questions, you know, now is the questions we ask. How are we impacting our future? And how can we be of service, and who can we help and serve to do so? So, you know, if you need help, obviously I'm there. My website is there. Get up, get out, get well. You can certainly email me, deniseshamlian@gmail.com. And I'm there for you ladies as well. I'm so happy to have met you, and I look forward to growing our relationship and you know, our time on this planet together, so that more and more women stand and find our voices.
Oh, thank you so much, Denise. I will definitely take heed to your advice on that facial. And
support your local community. There's so many out there who want to do good things for you.
Yes. Well, I want to ask you this question, and this is what this is the same question we always ask our guest speakers. What makes you uncommon?
Oh man. Okay, so I'm a unicorn in every way, shape, and form. There isn't anything that I can tell you, like everything about me is just unlike any other woman, as I tell men all the time. The experiences I have had have brought me into a global awareness that I never knew before. And when you have that awareness, you're acting with so much more knowledge. So been around the world. And at this point, everybody has the same concerns. We're all the same humans. So let's be uncommon, women and men. But let's strive to thrive and be kind and loving to one another. And take well care that your body, your human suit, brings you into your next evolution.
That's great.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yes. And that's what makes you an uncommon woman.
Right.
That's right. Just the amount of things that we learn and what we do with them, that's what makes us uncommon. Because there's so much info out there for all of us. It's not when you have the hunger to strive, to drive, to find out what's going to make you, not just what you're hearing on one TV channel or one corporate media place. There's lots of information out there.
Oh, yes.
Hunger.
Yes.
You need a hunger.
Thank you so much, Denise, and thank you to our listeners for joining in. And I want to talk about our apparel. Make sure you guys check out our website at www.uncommonwomen.net. Also follow us on YouTube and subscribe. And anyone that wants to be a guest speaker, visit our website. And next week's topic, we're going to be talking about, it's going to be a guest speaker. She's going to be talking, she's a financial advisor. So tune in next week. and stay uncommon.
Bye.
Bye.